the sun and the socket, Zora and Jewel stood at the edge of the Atlantic Ocean in New York City. They were friends, but today they were rivals. They both wanted to reach the Pacific Ocean, 3,000 miles away. Zora climbed into her sleek, three-wheeled solar vehicle, which looked like a silver teardrop. Jewel hopped into his large, sturdy electric SUV, which hummed with the power of a massive battery. "See you on the other side," Jewel shouted, waving his charging cable. As they left the city, Zora felt the sun warming the solar panels integrated into the skin of her car. Her vehicle was light and cut through the air like a knife. Because it was so aerodynamic, it used very little energy to maintain speed. She didn't need a massive battery because the sun was giving her 40 miles of free range every single day. She smiled, watching the digital display show the energy flowing from the sky into her wheels. By the time they reached Pennsylvania, Jewel had to pull over. His heavy SUV was powerful, but it took a lot of electricity to push such a big shape through the wind. He found a high-speed charging station and plugged in. He watched the meter spin. Each kilowatt-hour cost him 40 cents. "It's faster than gas," Jewel muttered to himself. "But it sure isn't free." He sat in the driver's seat, waiting for the battery to fill while the minutes ticked away. Zora cruised past the exit where Jewel was charging. She didn't need to stop. Her vehicle was so efficient that even without the sun, she could travel much further on a single charge than Jewel could. She waved as she saw his SUV parked in the distance. While Jewel was paying for power, Zora was using the momentum of her lightweight frame to glide over the rolling hills of the Midwest. In Ohio, Jewel checked his banking app. He had already spent $30 on electricity. His SUV was comfortable and full of gadgets, but every mile required a payment to the power grid. He had to plan his route carefully, moving from one charging station to the next, hoping none of them were broken or occupied by other travelers. When they hit the Great Plains, the sun was relentless. For Jewel, the heat meant he had to run his air conditioning on high, which drained his battery even faster. But for Zora, the sun was a gift. Every hour she spent driving under the wide-open sky was an hour of fuel she didn't have to buy. She felt like a sailor catching a perfect wind, moving forward with the help of nature. By the time they reached the Rocky Mountains, the climb became a challenge. Jewel's SUV was heavy, and gravity pulled at its weight. He had to stop twice in one afternoon to ensure he had enough power to reach the summit. He sighed as he tapped his credit card against the charging kiosk again. The cost of the trip was climbing almost as fast as the road. Zora's vehicle, being so light, didn't struggle with the incline. She used the energy she had gathered during the day to reach the peaks. When she drove down the other side, her regenerative braking put energy back into her system, and the sun kept topping her off. She parked at a scenic overlook to sleep, her car continuing to soak up the last rays of the evening. Finally, the salty air of the Pacific greeted them as they crossed the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Zora arrived first, her car still humming with energy. Jewel arrived an hour later, his SUV dusty and his wallet lighter. They parked side by side, looking out at the vast blue ocean. They had both made it across the country, but their stories of the road were very different. Jewel pulled out his receipts. "I spent nearly $200 on charging," he admitted, looking at his SUV. Zora checked her logs and laughed. "I spent almost zero," she said. "The sun did the work for me." Jewel looked at his heavy SUV and then at Zora's light, solar-powered teardrop. He realized that the future of travel wasn't just about changing the fuel, but about changing the way we think about the journey.